welcome back to my channel. Lately I've been getting a lot of people asking me some questions about whatever happened to my garden. Because when I originally started this channel, I talked about my garden, talked about seeds and different plants and different diseases like powdery mildew, and did a couple of garden tours. Well, what's ended up happening is I moved from that house that I was in there to the house that we are in currently. And that was basically due to my wife and I moving to a um, uh, different part of the city to be closer to work and school. So in so doing, this particular property, we're in a rental, so we rent out um, uh, a part of a triplex here, and so we're renting out the main floor of this triplex, and the gardens outside, or lack thereof, are not the greatest. And because we don't live here, we can't, start pulling out plants and shrubs and redoing gardens. You can't really do that. So I mainly just stick to a couple pots, which is really all I have room for. So that's the unfortunate part. But I do really, really miss my garden. And, I'm having pictures that are being played throughout here showing pictures of what my garden used to be. And, as I've said many times before, I have been gardening since I was 8 years old. I love gardening. I love working in the soil, getting my hands dirty, that smell of the earth. There's nothing quite like that smell. And it's just something that gets you excited to be a gardener. You just want to get out there and just dig your hands in it. I just love it. And that's part of the reason why I chose to work with plants as a scientist as well, in part because I can work with soil and grow them in the greenhouses and growth chambers back at my lab. But yeah, gardening is a great thing, and it's a passion of mine. I've had, as I said, for a very long time, and I would love to get back to it. Once we move again pretty soon, I will be very likely, especially with COVID and all this stuff that's been going on, there's a good chance that I may not be able to continue my position here at the current university. It just, there's so much going on, and everything's changing so rapidly that I may have to find a different place to work or go somewhere else. So there's an opportunity there where I can have a garden, perhaps, or an allotment, which I've been down for years for an allotment. But there's just so many people looking for allotments that there's waiting lists, long waiting lists to get in. So I still love gardening, and I'm sorry that I haven't been able to put much of that type of gardening content out. But yeah, though, this is just to let people know that I still love gardening. I just haven't really been able to do too much in terms of that. I might start a small mini-series about indoor gardening, because I do that a little bit. Again, this house that we're in is awfully placed for growing plants. Most of these windows are either covered by ginormous trees or bushes that go right up to the windows. Like, you can hardly sometimes even see outside. It's very, very secluding at times. Feel like you're being caved in almost. And vines that climb up the entire side of the house. But so because of that, there's very poor light conditions, and I have one or two grow lights to try to keep what plants I do have here alive and doing somewhat well. The other big challenge, of course, for anybody who likes to grow plants indoors and who also is a pet owner, my girls, my cats, love to eat the plants. They just think it's great. And I remember I had a beautiful palm tree that we got as a gift for when my wife and I got married, and both of my cats thought that was funny to pee in it. And the strong ammonia and the large dose of nitrates, for those of you that don't know, when you put too much nitrates in soil, they can act with water to become sort of very acidic, and they can burn the roots. So you got to be very careful, and especially things like uric acid and ammonia. Although plants utilize ammonia as a part of their for a nitrogen source, you got to be careful, because ammonia in and of itself is toxic, right? It can be very toxic, and oftentimes there's an intermediary, and there's lots of chemical reactions that occur in the plant to convert that ammonia into a less toxic form. So it's more energy investment there sometimes for the plant. So in this case, over repeated peeings, it died, and so that was unfortunate. But life as a pet owner, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And currently having a toddler running around the house who also has a great interest in flowers, which I love. She has all my books. So for example, I've got various books that I still get. Like this is a catalog from Brex, you know, I still get them and go through them and sort of daydream of the gardens to come. But my daughter goes through them, and she likes flowers, which is so heartwarming to me, and I just can't wait to give her the experiences I had about growing fruits and vegetables yourself, and seeing how plants grow, what they need to grow, and sort of seeing where your food comes from. And I think a lot of people nowadays, especially my generation and younger, don't have that. We don't see how food is grown, we don't see where it comes from, and sometimes we lose that appreciation for where these things come from and lose that connect with nature. And I think that's a shame, and we need to get back out there and doing that. And I'm sure it's just not me, but many of you out there who may still have gardens and are able to go out and do gardening. Obviously not in December, because right now it's December and there's snow outside here, but this whole pandemic has shown us the importance and value of being able to have a garden and utilizing that garden to grow foods and enjoyment and pleasure. And that's one of the few things that I really, really missed the most of the older house, was being able to garden, because gardening was not only very enjoyable for me, it was very relaxing, and I enjoyed going out and seeing all that hard work that you put into it turn into such beautiful flowers and blossoms and lots of fruit. And I really, really miss it. Yeah, so I haven't been actively in a garden doing gardening. Must be now 3 years. And so it's definitely, I got the itch. I want to get out there and do it. So it's definitely something that I really, really miss. But once things get settled, and perhaps we move into a different place, depending on what happens with this, with my current job, yeah, we'll see where we end up. And maybe we can do more of those gardening videos, which I really, really enjoy, and I'm super passionate about gardening, and I want to help people. So if you enjoyed that, or you want more content like that, please drop a like, share, tell me what you think. What have you guys done this year in your garden? Share some photos or video responses. Or even better, if you live like me in a rental unit at the moment, and you don't really have access to be able to do some of these things, to grow gardens and vegetables, and you're very limited, you know, tell me what your aspirations are, or your dream gardens, etc. So, you know, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I hope you all are doing wonderful. So please take care and stay safe.